Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office breakdown for this past weekend, which continues on into tomorrow as it is MLK weekend, and that of course is the big news surrounding the film Scream, as it has the potential to be the highest grossing horror film of MLK weekend compared to 2013's Mama is what they have to do in order to get that metric. So an interesting record, so-called record, for it to be defeating. And of course, also a lot of people apparently have been, by a lot I mean a few, which makes sense based on these numbers, but apparently there are some people who have been upset with the way I've spoken about the Scream franchise. And of course, a lot of that's because I've not seen every film in the Scream franchise, because the first one was more than enough, and everything I've seen from clips and from just the breakdown of the plot from the other films makes me just realize and understand I just don't feel like I've really missed anything. Now, if you enjoy the Scream franchise, hey, more power to you. However, to say or try to imply that there is a huge fan base out there for this film just is not based in reality, based on the numbers that are in front of us. And so I decided to get that out of the way. But before going any further into this, Spider-Man No Way Home reaching more heights in its box office release, Sing 2 breaking even, and Ghostbusters Afterlife adding a little bit extra money to its coffers. Please make sure you smash that like button, lap that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So as we can see from the domestic opening, Scream has made $30.6 million, and industry experts expect it to make another $6 million or so on Monday, bringing its 4-day total to around $36 million domestically. It has been able to make some money internationally as well, even though those numbers have not updated on the site, thenumbers.com, which, as you all know, is my place of my choice, rather, my suggested box office collecting site, because Box Office Mojo has been lagging behind a lot on a lot of different things, and also just because of the fact that the interface is so much better. By the way, they are about to update with a new interface, and unlike Box Office Mojo, which crapped all over fans and users of that site, and then it hit a lot of things behind a paywall because of IMDb Pro, luckily the numbers in its update is actually for the better. Cannot wait for it to actually go fully into effect and get out of beta. But Scream, $30.6 million, again, pretty impressive opening weekend, as it is taking the number one spot domestically from Spider-Man No Way Home, which still made a very respectful $20.8 million, a 36% drop. So a very strong hold from week 4 to week 5. It's been 5 weeks of Spider-Man No Way Home's release. And again, the fact that by next weekend it'll cross $1.7 billion is just, it's just pretty cool. It's just pretty awesome to see that happen, especially in the age and the era that we are in at this point, with all of the excuses, right, with all the nonsense that's been forward, with all of the fear-mongering that's been pushed forward. I think that it is really awesome just to see this type of film coming out, making the kind of money that it is making. We can also, of course, talk about Sing 2 being in, obviously not the same category, but in a profitability category, as it has now made another $8.2 million. Again, 29% drop, so pretty strong showing there. And with $119.3 million after 4 weeks of release, we can now say that the film has broken even and is in the midst of also making some profit. So congratulations to Universal for that. However, Universal is also the studio responsible for the 355, which only made a $2.3 million weekend after, and this is the second week of release, which, even though it's a 49% drop, this is one of those rare situations where, even though the drop would suggest a strong hold, because the opening was so anemic and was so terrible, this just doesn't really say much of anything other than the fact no one is going to see the movie. Again, it's just pretty sad, actually, I would say, in the end, that this film has only made in total worldwide $9 million after 2 weeks of release, and having that production budget of around $75 million just guarantees that this film to be a massive financial failure for Universal. So even though Sing 2 has shown itself to be profitable, and Universal was not the worst of the studios in 2021, not a very good start with a newer release, as obviously the Sing 2 is a carryover from last year, whereas 355 is a new film, a January film. And you know what? To be honest, 355 is doing exactly what any January film in the traditional sense would be. So yeah, I will say this much, fear-mongering, go away, because Spider-Man No Way Home showed you that movies that actually respect fans and actually provide a product people want to see can make a crap ton of money, whereas films that pander and are woke and come out specifically in January make no money. Seems like me, all things are right with the world. Kingsman came in with the number 5 spot with 2.3 million. Again, even though it's a relatively strong hold, because the number is still just 28.6 million. After 4 weeks of release, again, 4 weeks of release, 28 million versus Sing 2's 119. Hopefully that shows you why that number is just so incredibly bad. Bell, which is a release that's been out for a while in other parts of the world, but it finally got its release here in America, being distributed by G Kids. Made $1.6 million at 1,000 screens. So again, not terrible there. Again, the per screen ratio is a lot better than the 355 or the Kingsman. Obviously, a lot more to say about the 355 being in its second week of release. However, again, hard to really track that film as far as box office potential goes, just because of it being based in another country. And again, if someone wants me to break that down, I can. I just won't have any actual week 1, week 2 numbers, as it's already been in release for a while. American Underdog still don't have a budget, so can't really speak to whether or not it's successful or not at this point. West Side Story, however, we do have a budget for, and it is still making this film over $100 million in financial loss. Doesn't matter really if this film gets any awards attention whatsoever, because it's just not making any money and no one really cares to see it. Speaking of not caring to see, Matrix Resurrections, which just came out in China, by the way, fun fact, Warner Brothers still working with the Chinese Communist Party, where even though it made $7.5 million in China, 75% of that $7.5 million goes to the Chinese Communist Party. So we can now say that Matrix Resurrections gave millions of dollars, not to the studio, which is still at negative $200 million for this movie, but to the Chinese Communist Party. So we can imagine that money is going to be put to good use in its concentration camps and other places. Again, remind yourselves always, and this goes for any studio, Disney, Warner Brothers, even Sony. And that's why, again, very happy so far Sony has not put out a release date for this film, Spider-Man No Way Home, in China, because it does not need it. It is making mass gains, mass profits. So please, Sony, do not turn to the dark side on that movie. Again, we can call Matrix Resurrections this week, however. Going into Ghostbusters Afterlife as well, $785,000 in its 9th week of release, so really not all that impressive. However, anything being added on at this point is just net gain, net profit. So even though some people still try to troll saying, well, Ghostbusters 2016 made more money when you compare them. Yeah, and yet 2016 still lost money, and Afterlife didn't. Afterlife made money, not to mention Afterlife is going to make a crap ton on physical media, on 4K, etc. And on physical media, 4K, etc. The Ultimate Edition of the Ghostbusters collection, one film is on there, the other is not. And I'll let you guess which one is and which one is not. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, 16 weeks out, still available in theaters. And again, crossing, I believe it just crossed $700 million worldwide or something like that. Again, a pretty crazy amount of, again, that number could just be wrong, but I feel like it just crossed a major milestone, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can find the box office numbers for that movie, just to be on the safe side. No, 500 million. Sorry, I put it 200 million, a little bit more. It just broke. I knew it broke one of the hundreds of millions. Broke $500 million worldwide. 135.9 million in net gain profit. So very good news for Venom 2. Since we got this chart open, yeah, let's do some charting real quick. With Scream 5's $49 million. And so you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, where does that come from? Well, unfortunately, Scream's numbers have not updated internationally here on the numbers, and so we have to go based off of what is being reported from places like Deadline and other industry experts, which say that the entire global debut for the 3-day weekend is $49 million. And so with that into account, it means right now it's looking at a $6.6 million loss, since it cost $24 million to make. Add on to that marketing and the fact that the studio will only get a certain percent back on this number, and this film is easily going to make its money back probably by the end of next weekend at the very latest. What we can say is not going to make its money back ever is the 355, which is at $106 million in the red. And because it's the second week of release, we can now make some predictions, and the predictions are this film's making nothing. So not only is its best case scenario $101.3 million, its worst case scenario is $104.5 million. So again, massive losses. And also, I haven't seen numbers this low in a very long time. The best case scenario for this film's worldwide total is around $18.6 million. That's pretty abysmal. I have not seen a number like that in quite a while. I'm trying to actually go down. I guess The Many Saints of Newark had the closest to that. Maybe Cop Shop. So the fact that, actually no, Cop Shop for sure had the lowest, had something. So it's been a very long time though since a film was projected to make this little amount of money. And it couldn't happen to a better story. Again, Jessica Chastain going over to talk to the director of Dark Phoenix, another terrible film, saying, hey, I've got an idea. And you know what my idea is? Hey, let's have a female-led spy thriller. Oh, do you have any actual story elements? No, I just want it to be a female spy movie, and I want to be in it, and I want other strong women to be in it, and that's all I got. Oh, okay, so you really got nothing, and we're just going to build it based off of this gender identity narrative? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sure that will be fine. Hey, give us $75 million and we'll make a movie. Oh, yeah. And let's just, again, costs the studio countless dollars. just again, not looking good at all for what's going on with this film. So again, massive loss expected for this movie. The Kingsman still at $94 million in losses. Sing 2, as I said, has now brought it into the profitability territory with $1.3 million in net gain. Matrix Resurrections, even though it did indeed sold its soul, or Warner Brothers continues to sell its soul to China, again, didn't really help it that much. Another $7.5 million from China alone still has this film at $200 million in net loss, and a lot more money given to the Communist Party. $1.62 billion from Spider-Man No Way Home has the profits at $675 million in the black. So again, massive profits going on from Spider-Man No Way Home. West Side Story, over $100 million in losses. And Ghostbusters Afterlife, I know a lot of people are still very excited for this, $3.9 million in net gain profit. And again, doesn't matter if the number for 2016 was higher or not, because at the end of the day, this number is infinitely higher than anything Ghostbusters 2016 did, because it was in the red, and in the red by quite a major amount, by quite a large amount of money. So let's go ahead and also go to the homepage of ombreviews.com. This is where you can follow me. You can get access to podcast episodes as they become available from the live show, and also, of course, any schedule changes, and of course, also to the Raven Awards, which, by the way, you've got about 14 days or so to put in your nominations for the Wednesday Raven Awards. Click on this link, fill out the ballot, and let me know what you think are the best and worst in films, not TV, films in 2021. And anyway, going over here, you can see at the head of this site, at the homepage of this site, I have the battle going on between Sony and Disney. So first off, let's go with the total box office number with $1.6 billion, $675 million in net gain profit. Again, look at this. Spider-Man No Way Home's domestic is almost at $700 million. The entirety of the MCU this year, $570. Destruction, mass destruction, $1.6 billion. For Spider-Man, the entirety of the MCU, $1.2 billion. Again, pretty sad stuff. When we take into account this Sony-Marvel split, again, Sony gets $506 million from what it's made so far, whereas Disney gets $168 million from that. And again, based on the two films being added, Spider-Man No Way Home and Venom 2, Sony has been a lot better for theaters, as they get about 40% of the overall box office. So in the end, probably getting close to $1 billion from these two films alone, from both. And again, I haven't even updated with the newest numbers here for Venom 2. But again, easily you could see that theaters are going to be a lot more thankful of Sony and its two films than even the entirety of the MCU, because it just, again, did not do anything for them. So always good to see these numbers. Going into the individual numbers for those that are interested, again, $30.6 million domestic for Scream. Again, the numbers does not have the updated international 355, $9.3 million again. Oh, what a tragedy. But in the end, couldn't happen to a worse film. $1.6 billion for Spider-Man No Way Home. Again, just crushing it. Will be over $70 million by tomorrow is what's being projected. And I can see this film being over $1 billion internationally by the end of next weekend as well. Sing 2 continuing to make money. Kingsman, not so much. American Underdog, Kurt Warner story, no budget. Can't say anything about it because there's no budget. West Side Story, sad. Matrix, even sadder when you remember how much money was spent on the film. Ghostbusters, not so sad, making money, unlike Ghostbusters 2016. And Venom, even after 16 weeks or so, still making money. Encanto, still making money as well, but still financial failure. Anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about these movies? Are you surprised that Scream 5 is doing as well as it is doing? I know that there are some Scream fans out there, and guess what? If you're a fan of Scream, that is totally fine. I have no issue with you if you're a fan of the franchise, but keep in mind that I would say most people, moviegoers, did not ask or want or ever want to see a fifth Scream film. And even though you're showing that, hey, there's at least a small group of people that want to go see this film, and hey, we're going to push this film to profitability, still makes it one of the smallest franchises that's still going on with these many movies that I have seen in a very long time. And those are just financial facts. But what are y'all's thoughts about any of these numbers? Do you think Scream 5 is going to be even bigger? Again, I think that there's easily a limit to this film. I would not be surprised if this film drops off so much that Spider-Man No Way Home maybe even creeps back into the number one slot, still not knowing exactly what films come out next weekend. Obviously, we're entering into February very soon, though, and films like The Batman are going to be on a lot of people's radars, but it'll be interesting to see if Scream 5 has a massive drop-off, and if Spider-Man No Way Home can actually make its way back to the number one slot after it has dropped off this 1 week. But anyway, do you think that's going to happen? Let me know. And also, what are your thoughts about the 355 being a massive financial failure? Again, not that surprised by it at all. And also, your thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife still making profit, unlike Ghostbusters 2016. You can take that to the bank. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, light up that fire button. If you're watching over on Odyssey, again, check out OMBReviews.com for box office updates and, of course, to be able to vote in the Wednesday Raven Awards for this year. Again, you have until the end of January to do so, and I will have to update this link as I have updated the link, and as you can see, it's not showing up anymore. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my January Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members. Starting first off with Locals, shout out to Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Biffer DeHobbit, and Robert Barnes. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Locals platform. Also a shout out to my Subscribe Star people, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson once again, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK Man. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Subscribe Star platform. And lastly, to my Patreon supporters, my 30 Patreon supporters over there, animation commentator Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle, 79, Lance, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ellen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Benden, and Tina Bojan, and of course, Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you all so very much for your love and for your support. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and at the end of every video, please make sure that you support me over on a Patreon Subscribe Star or on Locals. Also, you get a ton of other goodies if you support at the Army of Asgard level and above. Starting at the Army of Asgard level, you get access to various giveaways that I do during the month, including various 4K titles. Many of them 4K Steelbook titles, and so if you want access to that, check out the Army of Asgard level on those platforms specifically. You also get access, once you are a Keeper of the Bifrost level member, to that, plus a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where you actually get to ask us questions, and also, of course, get access to that and the library of previous podcast episodes. We're up to about 33 episodes now that we have been able to do. I think most of those episodes now at this point we've actually done it together, which has been a lot of fun. And of course, you can join at the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, Chosen of Valhalla live stream level, where you get access to not only all of those things, but also you get access to be featured on the channel once a month during the Chosen of Valhalla live stream with the other Chosen members, which is always a lot of fun. Also, during your first month, you get a free t-shirt sent anywhere in the world. You just let me know your size. Let me know the t-shirt that you want from the store over on Teespring or on TeePublic, whichever you prefer, and I will gladly send that out to you if you're at that level. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.